Hi, I'm Jordan from BulletproofBJJ.com, and in this video I wanted to expand upon something that we covered in the last video, which was improving flexibility in the thoracic spine. So in that video we were looking at improving extension by arching back over a foam roller. Now this is good, but here we are creating what could be termed passive flexibility. So I'm creating a new end range of motion, creating extension in the thoracic spine that potentially I don't have full control over. And what this means is, am I strong at wherever my end range of motion is? So for instance, if I take a position here, like external shoulder rotation, and I do a lot of stretching and flexibility work, and I get to where I can really get my arm back there, and now somebody's got my arm back there, and I'm weak because I perhaps developed that flexibility in a manner that did not increase strength at that end range of motion as well as flexibility, then I'm potentially weak back there. I'm vulnerable. So we're going to look at a way to increase strength in that end range of motion in the thoracic spine. And to do this, we're utilizing a template called R-Phase. And this is from Z Health Performance, and this is a system that I use a lot to not only increase my flexibility, but also to increase my strength at that new end range of motion I've created. So what we're going to look at here is, first, the motion that we were doing last time specifically was extension, because this is where a lot of people are lacking. Now a lot of people, although it might not seem that this would be a problem considering our forward head posture that we tend to adopt from doing a lot of desk work and other things, a lot of people will actually be lacking in flexion. And sometimes this can present as a flat spot in the spine. So as I go back into flexion, I might see that instead of a smooth arch, you see a few segments that are kind of locked up together. So in addition to increasing extension like we were last time, we're also now looking at flexion. What I'm going to do here, it's a very simple movement called thoracic anterior posterior glide. And so from here I want to start in a lengthen out neutral stance. We'll get more in depth on this in the future, but for now just think about standing as tall as you can. And from here I'm going to go back, so kind of a forward slump posture, trying to uniformly push my thoracic spine into flexion, and equally slowly I'm coming up into extension. What I'm trying to do is get that section of the spine that we covered moving on its own. So I'm hitting that target. So for instance, for most people, the common mistakes that you'll see are, if you watch this motion here, I'm not actually moving my thoracic spine. I'm moving my shoulders and my head forward. And when you do this, it might legitimately feel like you're moving your thoracic spine, but this is why it's useful sometimes to video yourself doing an exercise so that you can see if you actually look like the thing that you're trying to emulate. Now, as I do this, I can actually be increasing flexibility in the thoracic spine while I'm increasing my strength in that end range of motion. I can take this a step further by utilizing a jump stretch band. So for those of you not familiar with these, they're basically like super heavy rubber bands. People use them for weightlifting, others use them for bodyweight strength training. So this is something else developed by Dr. Eric Cobb, who's the creator of Z Health Performance, and I'm going to make this kind of simple for now. I'm just going to loop it up into my armpits, punch it out, and then I'm doing those same thoracic AP glides. I can change the positioning. With this, you can just get kind of creative with it and see how it feels. And now I can create more strength in that end range of motion by applying a greater load. When you're doing these thoracic AP glides, remember that the rib cage, or as we mentioned last time, the rib spring here, is fully integrated with the thoracic. So your thoracic, you can actually, because of the inherent flexibility here, you can get the thoracic moving while this is still stuck. So I want to start maybe having my hands on my rib cage, see if I can feel it starting to move. So as I go back into flexion here, I should feel this anterior portion of the rib cage kind of like closing down, and the posterior section, so the backside, should now be opening up and expanding. And then same thing as I go up into extension. Now the posterior rib cage is closing down and the anterior rib cage is opening up. Ultimately, I want my whole body moving with this kind of synchronicity. I don't want little stuck pieces that don't move ideally, because that's where people get hurt. You can find more information on the Z Health R-Face material at bulletproofbjj.com. You can go to the support page, find links for that, and then there's other material as well that you can get into as you start to feel like you're getting a good handle on the R-Face stuff. All the things that we cover, in my opinion, are important, whether it's this mobility work, doing some of the active stretching, doing some of the foam roller stuff that we do, even though some may disagree, doing vision work. So I want to become what Dr. Cobb talks a lot about with Z Health is a complete athlete. I don't want to get too pigeonholed, overly focusing on one piece of the puzzle, because then other things tend to get left behind.